In for an oil change and a brake flush. We'll get going on those here in just a moment. But with every visit, we do a courtesy visual inspection. Starting off in the engine compartment, we can see a few things that we'd like to know. One, we have a leak at the oil filter housing gasket. We look right here, right in that area. The bolt is to the right of the screen, right here. We can see quite a bit of oil. And then up along the edge as well. It is starting to leak down the face of the engine. We can kind of see all the dirt and stuff down there where we don't have this like dry, clean metal. And then also along the back edge here, underneath the intake manifold, we can see all this oil is from that leak. There's a gasket between the filter housing here and the cylinder head, and then a gasket between the oil cooler line connection here and the housing. We replaced both of those, and that's what's causing this leak. The gasket also runs just underneath the intake manifold, which is partially why some of the labor is so high, because one of the bolts is covered up by the intake manifold, and it's leaking back onto the left side of the engine. The other thing we'd like to note, too, right in the same area, we can see this connector is covered in a bunch of oil. So what's happening is this oil pressure switch is failed internally, and what's happened is it's allowed oil to leak through the connector or through itself and into the connector of the engine wiring harness. We need to replace this switch or sensor and repair the connector and clean the oil out of the wiring. This, if left long enough, could actually cause oil to make its way all the way back through the engine wiring harness and into the engine computer, if left long enough. So this is something we definitely want to take care of sooner rather than later. And then obviously it's starting to leak externally too, because the connector and everything can't house all the oil that it's leaking. So we'll have that quoted for you. Also, if the filter housing gasket is left bad enough, long enough, or gets bad enough, it can leak straight down onto the belt and cause the belt to shred. If the belt shreds, it can fall behind the vibration dampener down there and get sucked into the engine, sending pieces of belt through the engine and potentially causing catastrophic engine damage. And it turns a repair that's already not super cheap into an extremely expensive repair if we need to do the engine, or if we have to tear down parts of the engine to fetch pieces of the belt material out of it. Everything else, though, aside from the two oil leaks, looks good.